Oh, I just wanted to say a little bit more about the HRT consult. Um, so I met with two doctors. The first one was a psychiatrist. The second one was a medical doctor. Psychiatrist was the most interesting meeting, and that started pretty much at like 8. It's like 8:45 this morning or yesterday morning. And it was a pretty robust interview. I mean, he asked a lot of questions about my mental health and family history and history of dysphoria and gender identity, and I was pretty honest about everything. Probably more forthcoming and honest than I've ever been. I mean, in part because I've been thinking about all this stuff for so long that I had a lot of like concise ways of sort of describing what my experiences have been like in my life. And so I felt like I did a pretty good job of just laying everything on the table, including some of the alternative theories that I had considered about what could be causing this that is not really like dysphoria or whatever. Um, but yeah, at the end of it, he was like, "Yep, HRT seems like a pretty natural step for you. This all sounds pretty, I guess I don't know what the right word is, consistent with his understanding, I guess, of what it was like." A lot of things that I said, he was like, "Oh yeah, that's a pretty common thing," or I've heard about this before, um, and he didn't balk at any of the things that I thought were maybe a little bit more outliers in terms of um, people that undergo some kind of a trans identity or gender identity transition. So that was, I felt really good after that. That was kind of like, I feel like the last checkpoint for me was to get basically a second opinion from someone that didn't know me. And they were like, "Yeah, you're good." I asked if I needed to get a letter from my therapist, from Adina, and he was like, "Nope, this meeting basically works as the letter. This is all within Kaiser." He was like, "We have our own system. We don't, need to do things that way." I don't even know why I have the headphones on because I can't hear anything. Um, so so I met with the psychiatrist first, and then basically because he was like, "Yep, Steve is good to go." I met with her for maybe an hour, and she kind of re-went through some of the the health risks and side effects, and we talked about what my transition goals were, which they're not that crazy. It's about as minimal as you could probably get. I said I was surgery averse right now. It just was not something I was envisioning doing. Although I understand that my position on that might change over time. I'm at least open to that possibility, but right now I'm not thinking about pursuing anything like that. So yeah, and then at the end of it, she was like, "So, do you want to just like get started right now? I can write you a prescription, and you can go across the street and pick up the stuff today." And I was like, I wasn't even expecting that to happen. I went into this meeting thinking that there were going to be another couple months potentially of gates. I was expecting the worst. I thought I was going to have to meet with a counselor multiple times on their end. I thought I was going to at least have to do more blood work potentially, or some other kind of like more intense exam. I just had no idea. But there was nothing. They took my blood pressure, and she thought my blood pressure was a little on the high side and didn't want to give me oral estriadol, so I ended up with patches, a prescription for patches. Which, I mean, it's not like that's the worst thing in the world. There's other people that I've talked to. There's a woman on the trans Discord that I'm on that talks about the patches, and she says they're great, and I've been on them for almost a year, and they've had tips about rubbing alcohol on and microporous tape and things like that. Also, Kaiser has laser hair removal and voice therapy, and I think surgeries and a lot of other things covered under their system. So I was pretty psyched to hear about that. That's definitely a good reason to continue to be on Kaiser for a while, I think. At least for another year or two. Or more, depending, I don't know. So anyway, I just wanted to give some more information about the visit. That's it.